Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, into this episode of Port Talks Podcast. I talk to James, aka WoWLagmaster, about life as a casino dealer and all the stuff he's done since he's left the casino. Like, share, and subscribe. Welcome everyone to the Port Talks Podcast here on YouTube and live on Twitch. Today we have James, aka WoWLagmaster, with me, and we're going to go through a lot of things today. How are you feeling?
Me, I'm personally feeling fine. Got a little bit of a cough, but other than that, it's all good.
All I'm going to say is cup of tea or whatever hot beverage with a bit of honey. Jobs are good.
Yeah, not really a big hot drinker myself.
Yeah, that is true. We're going to talk a lot of subjects. We're going to talk about casino life, your raids that you do with WoW, which I've seen a few times on the way home from work, and obviously talk about your schedule and anyone who wants to get into World of Warcraft to get you in. Obviously, if you have been on Twitch, you might have seen the alerts that I've done in the chat, which are literally below me, and also in the description below on YouTube there'll be a link down below in the Twitch channel. So what we're going to start off with is how we actually know it. We're going back 3 years, nearly 4 years now.
Yeah, be coming up to 4 years the beginning of next year. Easter next year-ish, wasn't it? We started around Easter. Roughly started around Easter 2017. I'm actually going to lay a little bit of groundwork here, because at the beginning of 2017 there was an open day for Napoleon's Casino Hull. I sadly didn't get the job then, and then it came up again. I turned up for the open day. I met Chris, the manager, yet again. We had the chat, and that was one of the reasons why I got the training onto the training school. How was your interview with, and who was it? How was it, and who was it? My interview back then was actually with Michael. Was it Michael?
Michael.
The one that moved
over for Rick. Yeah.
He had the interview with me, and all I remember from it really was he asked me a couple of questions, what I was interested, all that stuff. Tested me obviously with a little bit of my math. I got the question wrong. He was like, "You were close." I think I was off by like what? It was something as simple as like 3 times 17, and for some reason in my head I just went 52.
Off by one.
You were close. I was like, "Oh yeah, it's 51." And he was like, "Yeah, all right," and then started chatting. Obviously, had the chat of just your general interview stuff. And
questions and that.
Well, we're calling people probably by either the end of today or tomorrow, because of course it was all starting within a week of the.
It was basically starting the following Monday.
So it was pretty much like 4 days, I think, between the interviews and the training starting.
Yeah.
And it was like, I'm pretty sure we'll give you a call, and I got the call and turned up on day one.
Yeah. If I'm right, both of us turned up outside the front door.
Yeah,
and then Rob came along, who was our training officer at the time, who was training at the time. We were his last training school for a long while, and obviously he's just started up again before the pandemic hit, doing training schools.
I have to say this, I don't know whether or not that's a good or a bad. That's probably a bad thing related to us as like the ones that made him take a break in training.
Well, it wasn't us two specifically.
I mean, we didn't help.
We definitely did not help at all.
Yeah, it's one of these where it may have been nice in the fact that, hey, he did train us, he did go all the way through it, he didn't quit halfway through, but he did say, I'm not training another training group for a while after that.
Yeah, so. It took him about 2.5 years before he did another training school.
Yeah, so
because I believe Tracy took over for a bit, then Johnny took over.
Yep.
And then Rob took back over from Johnny, so that's basically the length of what happened. So,
but yeah, so we basically we started off training together, for being croupiers, and I was there for what, 2 years nearly,
about 2.5, I think it was.
Yeah. So I was almost there for 2 years, because I remember it was pretty much the beginning of last year that I quit.
I think when it happened, when you left, I was actually off that day. If I remember rightly. If I remember rightly, when you handed your notice in, I wasn't actually in the work. I actually got told by Desi.
Yeah,
that day what happened. So.
Well, the thing was, it was like a Saturday.
It was a Saturday night. Saturday night, yeah. One of our busier nights.
Well, I just remember it was just one of these. It was like obviously after a certain situation that happened a bit beforehand.
We'll delve into that if you want to.
I mean,
I don't want to bring back nightmares if I don't want to.
We could dive into a bit, but not too much.
Yeah, I'll make sure of that.
Yeah, well, I'll probably explain that more later on. But the way it all felt and all happened is a bit crazy.
Yeah, it was a very crazy time. Obviously, we went through the training. We got through the casino, like the dealing on the tables in the pit. We moved to poker training, obviously with Steve. And there's one thing I remember. There was this trainee with us, Tom, where I think it was you that said that he's dealing with glass and there's rats around him.
Oh, yes.
I just explain that for everyone.
So, the thing with Tom, he was very much a airhead. And a bit of a...
He was definitely out of it for most of it.
Oh, yeah, most of it, he was definitely out of it. And I tried convincing him one day. It's like, in reality, Tom, you're just on a really bad trip and you're just in an empty building with rats around you and you're just dealing to them. And he's like, don't say that to me. I'll start thinking it's true. I'm like, it was like, holy shit. He did not last long.
He literally went into the pit once, came back. They got sent back, and I believe it was either you or me. I can't remember. One of us might have already been. I think you might have already been in the pit.
We got our licenses. Me and you got our licenses the same
day. Yeah, pretty much the same day.
And it was probably about a week before Tom got his. So me and you had been in the pit for about a week at that point, where every now and then we'd be in the pit, but like obviously we were still mainly on card room shifts.
Yeah, card room shifts. I
remember it quite well. This is what happened. Tom got his license in that day, so he was told, "You're the first one in the pit today, flat out," because that's how they do it.
Yeah,
you know, you've got to throw them in to get them used to it.
Yeah.
And I will remember this.
I think it was a Kelly pit, wasn't it?
It was definitely a Kelly pit. I will remember this probably until the day I die. And what happened was he was down there, and I know he wasn't down there long.
I think he was down there for like 5 minutes, if I remember rightly.
Dealt maybe only 2 or 3 poker hands, so he was down there for maybe 10, 15 minutes at most.
Yeah.
Like if people were dragging out the hands, it was there for probably about 15 minutes at most. Kelly comes running up, says to Steve, I want a different dealer. You can have him back. I don't care which one. I'll take him. And like he comes up, takes me off the table. I think it was. I end up going into the pit. I'm like, what the hell happened? And I'll remember I think what was the name? The person inspecting him just couldn't believe what he was doing.
I don't know if it might.
I can't remember her name.
Jane?
It wasn't Jane. It was someone who stopped working there.
Sammy?
Might be Sammy. She was watching him, and he was miscounting how many cards to deal in 3-card poker. And for those who don't know, there is a very big hint in the title.
It's a very big hint. And if you see me on GTA on this channel, I play it quite a lot in the casino, and I obviously give the casino dealers perspective. And funny enough, I actually had to deal like they do in GTA. Funny enough,
the thing with past week, poker, it is very simple. As in, you deal 3 cards to the player and 3 cards to yourself, and depending on how many players each player gets 3 cards.
Obviously,
simple.
Pretty much simple as.
He apparently misdealt a couple of hands to the point of where he only dealt himself 2 cards.
Damn.
There was one hand where he dealt a player 4 cards and himself 2. There was multiple where he just didn't know the payouts properly. He didn't know any of the payouts at all.
Yeah.
There was we were now in the UK, I know like years ago it wasn't allowed. You can take tips as casino dealers.
Still take tips now.
Yeah, you can still no, but I mean years ago you weren't able to at all.
Yeah.
And so people sometimes would tip you at the table, and how we'd check it at the table would it would be put to the side until it hit a certain denomination, and then it would be dropped down and marked. And what he ended up doing, and apparently she caught him out twice doing this. Of he kept trying to put the tip back into the float.
Oh my god!
If you put the tip that's unmarked into the float, that's gone. That tip's gone. It goes back into the casino's pool, and it's no longer a tip to the dealers.
Yeah.
And he apparently, I think 3 times, kept seeing the chips to the side, grabbing them and going to put them back, to the point where the inspector had to stop him, going, "That's ours. That's the tips. That's not for the float." And he just wasn't getting it. It was absolutely hilarious to understand listening to how this all happened. And it ended up being a thing of that was obviously his first day in the pit, and they cut it down at first to like, oh, maybe it's just nerves.
Yeah.
Until they asked Rob, and then Rob's face when they said, "Oh, Tom got his license last night, and he was in the pit for the first time."
Yeah, because we told, if I'm right, Tom told Rob about us getting our licenses, so we thought we'd do the same for him. And tell Rob that he got his license.
I think it was just an inspector that told Rob, and Rob was like, "Yeah, so what happened then?" And then we were listing all the stuff, and Rob was like, "Yeah, I don't see him going on for much longer."
Yeah. And then a couple of months
there after he got his license, was it only a month or 2?
I think it was about a month, because there's obviously Zalan, who was with us at the time, who's now a hairdresser. Yeah. He swapped shifts with Tom, so Chris, one of the managers who interviewed me, would train Tom.
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't even that. It was so they gave Tom an open shift, but they told him to come in at like 10 or 9.
Yeah.
You know, because like the casino opened back then at 2.
Yeah, the gaming the afternoon gaming only just started. So, no, I don't know if the gaming started at 2 or electronic started at 2 then.
No, it started at 2, because I did quite a few opens. You would open the tables at 2, so like Roulette 1 and Blackjack would be open at 2.
Right. I thought that was from 2018 they did that.
No, they did that while I was there.
Oh, it was over Christmas, wasn't it? Yeah, Christmas time they did that, yeah.
So
I remember
when they did all that, so he was told to come in at 10, and he'd get 1-to-1 training with Chris, and they just wanted to see if there would be a way for him to pick it up properly.
Yeah.
He just didn't turn up.
Yeah.
So one of the managers a great man, he's such a nice. Chris is a nice guy.
He's really good. He's really good. He's sound. I love talk. He's a good person to talk to.
Yeah, he'll listen, and whether or not he's actually listening, yeah, no, but it makes you feel like he's definitely listening.
Yeah, I remember during before first lockdown, like when it was announced, I was pestering him like hell to try and get information, because I didn't know at the time if they were already told about it, that they weren't allowed to say anything. So I was trying to pester him to get that, but he legit didn't know. So
I just found it great that And it absolutely sucked this, because so you got one of the managers who Chris has been a manager for years, hasn't he?
He was doing pit bossing as well at the time.
Yeah, but I mean, he only pit bossed every now and then. Like I think I only ever saw him be a pit boss 3 times.
I think it was about
most of the
other 5 managers in the first year.
But most of the other managers would also do a shift every now and then. Like Kev would pretty much do all the opens.
Yeah,
stuff.
Kev used to do all the opens. He used to do all the machine counts and stuff like that.
So you get it this way. It's like a well-respected manager, and you could tell that there was not a single dealer in the place that didn't like Chris. Chris was great.
Yeah.
And for the fact that he didn't even make an excuse of why, I can't make it at that time or whatever. He just didn't turn up. And getting a manager to waste like 4 extra hours that he came in on time that he didn't need to be in, just to do extra training with someone. That was terrible. And I think like a few days later, he just came in to the reception, handed in his waistcoat, and went, "Yeah, no, I'm quitting," and then left and never came back.
Yeah.
So that was Tom. He was gone pretty quick in that sense.
And there was us two and Macaulay for a long time, and then obviously.
Well, no, there was someone else, wasn't there?
There was no.
Sure
there was only 4 of us that actually got licenses and actually went all the way through.
Oh no, sorry. I know what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of the previous group. What was his name? Did he begin with E?
Eric.
Eric. Yeah, was it Eric?
Yeah, it was Eric. Who always wanted to stay in the card room even though he had his license. Always wanted to be the one who sent home.
No, he was the one who didn't get his license.
Yeah, he didn't get his license for ages.
For it. No, he that's the thing. He didn't apply for it. He from what I remember, right? So obviously he was on the training school before us, which was probably about only 4 months before us.
Yeah, that 4 months, that sounds about right. Yeah, because I went to that open day as well.
It was about three or 4 months before us. So most of those guys had the licenses, apart from Eric, who out of I think was it 5 of them on their training school.
About 5, 5 or 6, yeah.
He was the only person not to have his license, and I remember someone saying like the managers followed up on it of like, why didn't your license come through? Have you been chasing it up? And when he showed them his application, he hadn't filled it out. He didn't fill it out. He didn't have any of his stuff prepped to send to them. So he absolutely had nothing prepared. And I think I can't remember if they fired him for that because basically he just
he got his license in the end.
Did he?
Yeah, he got his license in the end, but then he always wanted to stay in the card room.
I don't remember.
And then he left. I believe he got his license. He went in the pit because there was a thing with Jamie, the pit boss, who I've had quite a few breakdowns with because of him being a certain way, which we'll probably get into later. Took his cards from Free Card Poker, or Dizzy, I can't remember who it was. Removed the cards, and Jamie said to Eric, like, "Where's your Free Card Poker cards?" And he literally flipped out. He literally freaked out. And it wasn't long after that he left.
Was that Eric? I thought that was someone else.
I thought that was. I swear that was Eric.
Pete.
It might have been Pete. I can't remember.
I think the 3-card poker cards was Pete.
It might have been Pete. Yeah, might have been Pete on the training school after us.
Eric was like, I'm pretty sure Eric never got his license because it was literally. So the thing was, our entire training school that was staying had their licenses. Even Macaulay, his was delayed by like a month because of like some checks that they were doing.
Yeah. He chased his up though. Make sure of it.
He chased his up. He got his. That because that's what I remember. I remember a manager coming up whilst we were all standing in the card room waiting before it was starting, and they were like, "Have you been chasing it up?" Because Macaulay got his. His was delayed, and he started months after you.
Yeah, because his license was official on the website before he even got the stuff through, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, he didn't get the email through. He got these on the site itself.
Yeah, so his license. Because Desi was inspecting me, and he said, "Is that Macaulay on the final table?" I said, "He ain't got a license, has he?" Well, he must have. It's that. Then I asked, and he said, "Oh yeah, it's on the website."
Yeah,
it wasn't come through in the email.
And then he got the email like I think 2 days later.
Yeah, 2 days later, just to confirm the license.
One of those really weird situations where it's like, because of course you're supposed to get your email first saying, "Yep, you got your license
beforehand."
Here's a copy of it. Show it to where you're gonna work.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm pretty sure the manager's like, "So have you been chasing it up?" And that's when they took him to the office to check, and he just hadn't signed. He hadn't filled it out. There were certain bits he didn't fill out and didn't send off. It was ridiculous thinking about it that way.
Yeah, obviously for us two, getting ours within like 2 weeks of applying was because obviously we'd done some CIB checks at the time. Obviously it was CIB when I first did my check. Obviously,
yeah, mine wasn't for me. Mine was because a family member had one that was
they had family records. Obviously I had one. My mum and my sister had one because obviously they worked in a care home, so that's why mine came back quickly as well, because they could cross-reference everything I've already had, plus my family already have one. I think my granddad had one from back in the day when he was a builder. So
yeah,
I believe
it was
there
one of
was
these
records. There was records there. So that's why I was getting back within 2 weeks. So
and I just thought it was absolutely crazy that he was delaying it for that long, and
yeah,
they wanted training school after us for another 6 months, I think, or a bit longer.
yeah, 6-7 months, and it was Eleanor Conroy, Page, and all them what came through.
Yeah, because then after that, yeah, and I just remember the card room hell is all I could describe it.
Yeah, it was legit. We'll go into card room now, and the famous incident on Cash Poker. We'll start off with that one. If you can say as much as you want, I'm going to let you be in control of what you say on this, because I know this is a very tentative situation that happened. Just to put some context onto this, I was on the second Cash Poker table when this happened. So I heard what happened. I didn't see what happened. I heard what happened.
Well, it was one of these things of the entire event. So, with being the newest dealers, what would normally happen would you'd be the ones put on poker.
Yeah, you get put on poker more than the
and
except for now except for me, because they always put me up there now, regardless of whoever it is. I'm always up there.
And this was majorly when there was a competition. You would be the ones assigned to that comp, to deal for the comps, and then usually if there was cash poker table opening, you'd be put on that as well. And what happened one day was this. There's been a couple of times, and these again we're going back to when there were Jamie pits.
Yeah,
I was just left on cash for hours. One day I was, we came up there to deal comp. A couple of the tables broke, and I opened up a cash table. And I remember sitting on the cash table. There was 3 tables left in the competition. So you're talking about, what, 30 players nearly?
Just under 30 players, around 30 players left.
There was about 25 players. And they had all gone to... Then that gone down to the final table, and I was still on this cash table, dealing to players all the way throughout all this time. And I tweeted to Steve to get his attention, saying I kind of need to go to the toilet. He was like, "Oh, all right then, I'll see if I can get someone to take you off, just quickly, whatever like that. I'll see if it would be time for a break or whatever." But he just needed to start the comp. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. Keeps going on the comp, and the comp started. He shoots down, sorts to Jamie and says, "Oh yeah," he says, "someone's coming up to take you off in a bit." Okay. About half an hour later, I'm like, yeah, I still really need to go. I'm really desperate for the toilet. I've been sat here for about 3 hours and a bit at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I have to go. It's like,
I think at this point, I open cash too. At this point,
this isn't the event.
Oh, this is not the event. This is something else.
This is just one of the examples of
right, okay.
How, and it got to the point where Steve then asked again. I went, listen, I just need to go to the toilet. Just take me off so I can go to the toilet. I don't care about. I'll come straight back. I really needed to go. So that was one of the times where Steve just looked around and went, yeah, quickly, I'll deal a couple of hands. You just go to the toilet and come back up. So I did that and came back up. And I remember the comp ended and Steve looked over and was like, "Are you still on that cash table?" Yep. He hadn't sent anyone up for about 4.5 hours, I think it was.
Was I dealing the final?
I think either you were dealing the final or Macaulay was dealing the final. I don't remember. It was one of these where it's like, yeah, I just basically been sat at this table for 4.5 hours dealing to the customers, and what I think in reality you're not really meant to be dealing over an hour and a half. I think.
Yeah. Because in the comp, it's every 90 minutes of comp time we swap. No, it's 40 minutes. But in the first 2 hours, it's like 40 minutes.
For the first 2 hours, it's a bit longer, I think. But
it was 40 minutes anyway.
So that was one of the times where I was just left on a table and just completely not forgotten about, just left there, and they got to me those times. But the time you're thinking about where I had a big blowout with a customer, and here's the thing: this is why the poker players, I had mad respect for them for this one. They backed me up like crazy.
Yeah.
It was another night where we were busy, not super busy, but busy. It was a comp night. There was 2 cash poker
Tuesday
tables
night,
open.
if I remember rightly.
I don't remember the day.
I think it was a Tuesday.
I know there was 2 cash poker comps tables open where you were on one, I was on the other.
Yeah.
But I was on table 1, so
you
it was
on the table 1, yeah.
I think I was on it for about an hour and a half before you opened cash 2.
Yeah, that seems about right.
And I'm not joking. As soon as the cash table opened, it was full of players.
It was it was like that.
Yeah,
like that
normally happens though if it's a poker night and a cash table opens
on a break.
Yeah, one of the customers, who obviously I'm not going to name names, he was.
I know who it is, but I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, he was well known for being
a dickhead. He still is now. He still was now.
Okay, yeah, but I'm gonna say what's the word for it? Basically, just drunk. He was just well known for being drunk all the time, and he had sat down at my table and obviously had already spent most of the night drinking.
Yeah.
All going fine. First 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours. No real problems apart from this one customer who all the way throughout this time had been giving me hassle, as in saying stuff to me. And the thing is, you expect certain amounts because players, if they're losing, they will blame the dealer.
Yeah,
they will never blame themselves. They'll never say that the person did play better than them. It's always the dealer's fault. It's the dealer for giving those hands. It's the dealer for not giving them a good hand. All that stuff. And that was fine. Kind of used to most of that.
Yeah.
But he would then start saying stuff like, it's like, where, no, come on, that's a bit out of line. And the thing was, it was obvious it was annoying the other customers as well.
Yeah, the fact that the other people started to back your ass up knows there was something wrong.
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing. The customer directly sat to his right about 3.5 hours in. It was coming up to 4 hours, and the customer to the right's like, all right, I'm done for the night. Can you cash me out? And I was like, yeah, sure, after this hand. And he went, oh, no, actually, I'm coming up on my blinds. I'll play the blinds, and then I'll go after that. I was like, all right, that's fine. So he had already said that he wanted to leave like 2 or 3 hands in advance.
Yeah, that's pretty much the thing. So after my blinds, I'm going to go, guys.
Yeah. So it gets to his small blind, and I look at his chips, and he had like probably about 300 quid in chips in front of him. Now, a lot of them are in the 5s and stuff. Now, as you know, the best way to do is you take a couple of stacks down and cut them down into ponies. It's easier for him to carry. You get the 5s in your float. You're not having to run around chasing up change and stuff. It's much better and much more convenient. Now, this was whilst... So, obviously, because he was straight to the right of the player who was causing the issues. The player who was causing the issues, it was his blinds. And I'm like, all right, I'll change some of those 5s up for you. So I'll get like, I think 3 stacks of his 5s, change up like 300 quid. And he still had a good amount of 5s on him so that he could play this hand.
Yeah, which is natural to do.
Yeah. And I start cutting them down, stack them up, as you know,
we're
trained to.
As you would do.
And just after stacking them up, the guy who's causing the issues leans over and goes, he's not cashing out yet. He's going after the next hand, so don't change his chips. I'm like, yeah, but I'm just changing these because it's makes it easier. He goes, no, he's not changing up. And he just grabs the chips in front of me, the chips that I've just lined up, counted and everything like that, and puts them back in front of the guy. Now, you're not supposed to touch anybody else's chips. So,
except for the dealer and that player. If it's in the pot, then that's different. Once it's passed to them, that's different.
Once it's passed to the players, it's their chips. No one else is supposed to touch them, and only the dealer's meant to touch the pot.
Yeah.
And this wasn't even a pot. This was another player's chips being converted into chips, so into a higher value.
Yeah, basically cash out.
I went to him, do not touch the chips. The other guy went, listen, it's fine, just do it after the hand, because he, as I said, all the players were already fed up with this guy. They just didn't want to deal with the hassle. So I was like, all right, fine. Put in your blind. And he looked at me and went, what? Went, it's your blind. And I can't remember what he said to me. No, that's it. He started laughing and he just went, this stupid deal. He said something like along the lines of this stupid deal. I don't know what the hell he's doing. I think he actually swore. I think he was just
I think there was a swear. From what I heard, there was swearing involved.
He was referencing like me like chipping up this one guy because the guy was about to leave the table. And so I just slammed the table in front of him and go, it's your blind. So he grabs just a pile of chips, throws them at the table, they bounce and hit me, and that's when I stood up and went to his table and I just looked at him and went, what is your fucking problem?
Yeah, I think I remember that bit. And then Steve, if I remember, got you straight off that table.
Oh yeah,
as soon as that happened, he got you straight off that table.
Well, the thing was, the guy was just staring at me, not expecting anybody to stand up and be like, what is your fucking problem? Like, to his face. Obviously, Steve got me off the table. He had to get me off the table as quickly as possible. And I've never seen poker players move off a table to let a dealer out as quickly as that. Because the way we were sat, you've got two players to your right and two players to your left, and a wall behind you. So you
literally home. Literally, you are homed in. Literally, so I've got space here. But just think about it. You got like 3 chairs to your left, 3 chairs to your right. But literally in front of you, you've got 3 players. One straight in front. Well, 3 or 4 players. 2 at this side, 2 at this side. And it was ridiculous.
I remember standing up and just being absolutely pissed off with this guy because for like the past 3 hours or so, he's caused issues. He's just constantly said stuff to me and the other players.
Total disrespect.
Oh yeah, it got to the point where, no, that's it. I've had enough of you, especially with him throwing chips and them hitting me. I'm just like, no, that's it. I'm not taking this from you.
I think that's where Jigsaw was born.
I remember just standing up, and then all I hear is Steve going, get off the table now.
I remember that.
And there's nothing. There's like no one there. Like all the players had moved so that I could get out. I was like, all right, just went into the staff room. And
I thought you went into the smoking balcony.
No, I went down to the staff room.
You went straight on stuff.
And I remember when one of the managers came in and was like, what's happened? And I explained to him everything that happened. I said like how for like the last 3 hours this guy's been at me constantly. And he went, all right then, I'll just stay here. I'll be back in like 10 minutes. And I'm not joking. Apparently this is what happened. As the manager went up into the card room to see what was happening, he got stopped by 3 different poker players, all saying, yeah, no, it was 100% the player. He was harassing him for like the last 2 hours, 3 hours easily. He's been getting on everyone's nerves. It's obvious that he's like, intoxicated to the point of where he's not even really paying any attention to anything. And then that's when he asked Steven, like, I remember he came down and was just like, yeah, okay. From what's happened, it does seem like he has 100% been antagonizing you for this, and to the point even the players are backing you up on this story. So they just turned to me and went, all right then, you know what, take like an extra 20 minutes of break and then go back up and deal in the card room again. You can deal the final. And I was like, okay then. Like 20 minutes later, came up, went into the card room, and Steve just looked at me and was like, how the fuck you get away with that? I could tell it was the lucky, like, you got away with that. And
You're lucky the players backed you up there.
Well, no, but that's the thing. Like, while I was up there, because I was up there just as the last table were taking a break.
Yeah, I think I remember that as well.
The couple of players who were on the last table, they actually came up to me and was like, he's been even annoying us. They're not even playing at the same table as the guy, but because he was being loud and like annoying everyone around him.
When he's with the people,
yeah, he was annoying us. And a couple of other people who were playing on cash were like, "No, listen, they were saying to him, yeah, it's unfair what he was doing and all that stuff." So the nice thing about that incident was I kind of had like most of all the players all saying, "Yeah, no, he was way out of line for this."
I remember what said that thing, and I had said to them, I not going to have any of this on my table.
Well,
as soon as I heard about what happened, I said, "Look, I'm not having that going down on my table." But I said I had a nice and relaxed table.
Yeah, you had like all the quiet people.
I
had
like someone called Mr. Sowerby. I'm looking at and all them lot. I had all them lot on my table, which literally you would have thrived on my table and enjoyed it. Let's just say that. But the fact you were on that table at that time was like it's giving me flashbacks now. Like we're talking about it.
The best bit I had about that was when I sat down on the final table and all the players came up. Someone just opened the wisecrack. Well, we're all going to be having tonight. No problems on the final table. It was nice and calm, and there wasn't a single issue. And
yeah, that was good. That was good.
The night went perfectly fine. It was just that one incident of that one person.
I remember being on a table like. This is after you left. This is when Hope was doing card rooms, and I was on a cash table, and everyone just literally just hated me on the table. I don't know if you recall the term "sleepy dealer."
I recall that term a lot.
Yeah, you know exactly who that is when I say that term, "sleepy dealer." He literally hates me. To the point, I'm literally dealing I'm dealing the poker normal, and then it comes to him. I say, "Oh, it's this to call." You see what I'm doing on my stream? Like, it's like that. It's like it's you to call. Is it me? Yeah, it's you. It's this, and he goes, "Sleeper, why you sleep? Why you sleep?" I'm like, "You're sleeping."
Yeah. The thing is, he
was an absolute dick.
See. He didn't like you, but there was one customer that really didn't like me dealing.
Yes, yeah, we know.
I don't know if you know which one, but he...
Is it the one who had to take a time out for me because he was literally annoying me?
I don't know.
I sent you the first name. No, not that one, Hiker.
No,
I've had instances with him, but obviously oh yes, I know exactly who you're on about. I know exactly who you're on about now.
He hated me dealing so much.
He still hates me. He still hates me.
Well, no, right, so okay. The thing.
But we get a laugh out of it though.
So the thing with the players was a lot of them quite liked my dealing because I would deal quite quickly and I'd just get like the games done. But he was one of the ones who absolutely hated it when I was dealing because, in his own words, I never win a hand when he deals.
Yeah, that is to me. It's like he goes. When I come to the table, he's like, right, shall I just pass it to you now? Shall I just pass this to you now? Shall I just pass this to you now? Type thing.
There was one night where another player picked up on what he was doing whenever I was dealing, and this other player basically doubled his chip stack from playing against him in a correct way, because what he would do was whenever I was dealing, even if he was big blind or small blind, he would fold the hand.
He would instantly fold it.
It would either be a check or a fold.
Yeah.
So if it was big blind, if no one raised it, it was a check. If someone raised it and by min raise, he'd fold it instantly.
Yeah.
If he was small blind, he was just folding. And
if he was under the gun, he'd instantly fold as well.
Yeah, it didn't matter. It didn't matter what position he was. He would just fold hands until a new dealer came along with me.
Yeah.
And there was one player who noticed this and noticed that he was doing this. So every time it came to his big blind, he'd raise it and just take his chips instantly. Like if no one else called, it'd take his chips instantly. And it got to the point where, because I could deal pretty quickly. I would get like 5 hands through really quickly, 5 or 6 hands very quickly through.
Yeah.
Every time it got to his blind, he'd raise it and he'd just look at him.
So, I will remember, I'll raise this.
This is probably about the 5th or 6th time he's done this. He goes, "I know what you're doing, and I'm not raising. I'm not gonna do it because I'm not playing with this dealer dealing to me." And it was just like, you know what? I don't care if you don't like me. I'm loving the fact that he's getting his chips off you because you're too stubborn to play because you blame the dealers over yourself.
Like, I remember, if I remember rightly, I've got. It's nice knowing you. Oh, quickly. Oh,
just
not with this
absolutely...
rubbish. That was one of the. That was one of the main terms.
It was absolutely hilarious though. Watch it. Like as soon as someone realized like he doesn't play hands when this dealer's dealing, I could just raise him no matter what hand I have, and he folds it.
It's caving.
The best one was the same person.
Oh yeah.
I was dealing to him, and he just folded his hand straight away. But he folded it, and one of the cards flipped over, and it was like an ace. And I'm sat there thinking, unless you've got a very, very, very bad second card, why the hell are you folding this pre-flop? Like pre-flop, small blind, no raises. All you have to do is just call. Why are you folding this hand pre-flop? I just couldn't figure it out. And it was all just down to the fact he wouldn't play a hand with me. He didn't look at his cards 90% of the time with me.
It just instantly filled it.
So it was hilarious of how
how it all turned out.
How that all went out. There was a couple other players, obviously, who did the common stuff of like, oh, this dealer's just giving me shit hands, you know, folding the cards. And every now and then, if a card flipped over, it's like, it's giving you shit hands, is he? Oh, how come you've just turned over a Jack 10? It's not a bad hand. Not the best hand, but it's not a bad hand. You know, two high cards on there. I'd probably pre-flopped play them. And it's just kind of like you look at some of these players who just throw stuff away just because they don't want to play hands.
Yeah, because of the dealer and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of them weren't even just because of the dealer. Some of them would just like to not play a hand just to see if someone else would go out before them.
Some people would strategically just fold so they could save their ass in a tournament. But then when the blinds get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you were average stack, say, just after the break, but by the time you get to the blinds where you literally got like 2 or 3 bigs left because you've been folding so much, and obviously your blinds are going as well, you get to like 2 bigs, you've got to do something. You can't just wait for someone to go out. You have to act. And some of these players know that, but because they've got a vendetta against the dealer, they'll just go scared.
Yeah, and
hope that the next dealer will help them out, and not necessarily.
Amazing how often that would happen.
It was legit weird as hell, but stuff like that happened.
I didn't really think that was gonna happen, but like it just did all the time. I was like, why play like that? It doesn't seem fun. You obviously
legit doesn't.
Some people don't play it for fun, but I mean,
some people legit do this because that's all they can do. See, they might not be able to work because of this, that, and the other. So this is how they socialize with people. And we get that bit, obviously, but it also is annoying when the stuff that you're trying to do, focus on your job, and people are legit attacking you for no reason.
Yeah, and it always made me laugh because I remember. So obviously, everybody in the casino is obviously over the age of 18.
Yeah.
But majority of them you'd find are like over the age of like 35, 40 plus.
Yeah, like your senior people in the community.
And quite a lot of them as well would have kids themselves. And some of them would have kids, even the ages of the dealers that they're talking to. And I sat there one point, and another customer who I'm pretty sure you'd know the name very well of.
Just type it in the Discord DM, just so I'm aware if you can remember the name.
I can't remember his last name, but yeah, it's.
Oh yeah, I know who you're on about. I know exactly who you're on about, and his brother as well. And his brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who you're on about now.
I can't remember which one it was, but it was the worst one of the two.
That is the one begins with H.
Okay, yeah. So, and I remember finding out that he had a daughter who was literally our age. I think she was like 20. I think she's probably about 25, 28 now, or something like that. I don't know. You know, that age range. And I sat there and thought, the way he speaks to basically us lot, he would go ballistic if anybody did that to his daughter.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Like, he would absolutely go nuts the way that he spoke to... And granted, we're guys, but he'd also say it to the female dealers as well. And I'm sat there thinking, he would go crazy.
He'd go ballistic if someone said that to his.
Oh yeah, said anything similar like that to his daughter, he would absolutely go to the ends of the earth to make it right. In quotations.
The one in H would legitly just walk.
Yeah.
After a set, if he's pissed, if he don't like a hand, he'd walk out a turn. He literally would walk when it wasn't his turn. I've told him a few times. He's like, just get on with the game.
Like it's not allowed, but he would have comments about people, and that was something that I could never really understand. And it wasn't until afterwards, probably after I quit, where I kind of realized these players don't look at dealers as people. They look at dealers as just someone who stood there giving them cards.
Yeah.
And
like as if they're robots and they have no emotions.
It really annoyed me how much like they just got away with stuff like that.
Like the person I said, who's actually been doing a lot of stuff for the casino. See, he's mates with Tony, the manager Tony, who was the big boss.
Yeah.
Obviously, is now due to restructuring, is now the general manager of casino.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I'm going to get into this now because obviously I told you Kev retired.
Yeah.
So everyone's gone down one. So Tony's now our GM. Mick is now, who is the sound guy. He can get along. He gets pissed off, but it's because of result, not. But if you're talking to one-on-one, it's fine. He's now deputy GM. And then Rich, who's was deputy GM, is just a normal manager now.
No, that's weird. Why would everyone go down one?
I don't know. I have no idea.
The structure of that sounds so weird.
It's just been restructured, so I don't know what's happening. I don't really want to know, but obviously, as I say, Kev's left, and I know obviously you've talked a lot to Kev, and I'm going to give you the floor now to say your piece on it, and I'm sure I send this.
Well, the funny thing is, you say I've talked a lot to Kev. I talked to Kev probably as much as most people talk to Kev.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
You usually in the sense of like, yeah, this you'd say something quick to, and you just respond with like, shut the fuck up. It's
yeah,
like,
pretty much, yeah.
Kev. Thanks for the input there. It's like, like I never had any issues with Kev. Kev was great. He was probably one of the ones where he looked at it as, yeah, it's bullshit the amount of crap customers got away with, and if
I know he was definitely against us getting tipped like that.
Was he against us getting tips?
I think there was a little bit in there, but it's just. Well, I don't know if Kev was bullshitting around with that. So
I think he was probably bullshitting around.
Probably was, yeah.
The thing was, he seemed like the type of person where if he could let loose on what he wanted to say to customers,
trust me, he would let loose.
It would have been a brilliant sight to watch.
Yeah, it would have been.
I just loved listening to Kev. Like everyone else was always like, yeah, well, we can't say stuff like that to customers. You got to be really nice to them and all that stuff because in the way they are the ones paying, like, keeping it all up. It's like, yeah, that's true, but there is a certain extent of where I don't want to take shit from people every day, just due to the fact of I'm now working and they're paying me. Like, nah, and he seemed like obviously
he'd get our side of the story.
He was 100% the one who was like, no. Yep, you're completely right. I agree with you, and it sucks that we have to be nice to these people.
I'd rather tell them to fuck off if I could.
Yeah, I always liked the. Well, I can't remember the exact saying he used to say, but
better shite.
On opens where you'd have people basically come in and just spend basically penny pinching at a casino and like people like that, and he fucking hated them. I think one of the best ones I had was this happened. I came up and there was, I think, probably like a couple of students in just playing corner bets on roulette.
Oh yeah, I know them type of people. Yeah,
the
still get some of them still.
10 quid in, and they're gonna stay there for the next 8 hours, just like absolutely wasting everyone's time. I think he just turned around and was just like, I'd hope these guys would just fuck off already. They're doing nothing to anyone. I think it was like, I'd rather just give him 100 quid, tell him to fuck off and not come back. It's like, and eventually they finally left, and I remember coming over and going, right, that's much better. Fucking no problem. And it's just the
thing is that I can actually imagine Kev saying that though. That's the problem. Yeah, I can imagine him saying it.
It was something along that lines of that, and it was great. I loved when like I was on a shift with Kev, because he was just the type of person where he'd just look for the bullshit and just look at you like, no, what's the point in fucking doing that?
Yeah, it's like with recently, obviously, we've had things saying about Bamford being shit, yet he's scoring for fun in the Premier League. Yeah, we used to take the piss out of him every time he missed in the Championship. Like, I'm gonna miss them type of conversations with him. I really am. And like, as you can just hear, like the next casino dealer who gets along with him, like you can tell his input's been there for so many years. I think he was there when the casino actually first opened 20 years ago.
I think someone did say that. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah. Obviously, he'd been working in casinos for a long time before, anyway.
Gave Desi his job as well.
Did he?
Yeah.
Fucking hell, yeah, that must have been a hell of a long time, because Desi's been there for quite a long time as well.
He's been in the business for a long.
So yeah, it's one of those crazy things if you think about the whole orientation of it. Yeah, I absolutely thought like Kev was the type where he's a manager, but in reality, he just didn't give two fucks most of the time.
Yeah, there's just someone about. If you want to talk about that, you can do, but I'm not really talking.
I don't really like me and politics. Just
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
me and politics are in separate universes. I don't pay any attention to that shit.
Do you want to talk about the roulette incident that kind of sealed your fate? You can if you want. I'm not gonna force you if you don't want to say about it.
The whole roulette incident was just one of these of like that was kind of a build up over the course of like the last year I was working there.
Yeah. If you are watching on Twitch but welcome in. We're currently still in the Pot Talks podcast with James, aka WoWLagmaster. We're reminiscing of the times when he was in the casino. So sorry about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe the thing with the whole roulette incident was it's kind of a situation of like stuff that had built up over the entire year.
Yeah.
Mainly due to the fact of it just seemed really crazy how all right, let's take it back about 6 months before the incident.
Go ahead. You got as much time as you want.
Let's see. I think I was getting to the point where I was on roulette all the time. About 6 months before the incident, maybe about 8 months before the incident, it was like, I'm on a roulette table. I'm on a roulette table. I'm on a roulette table. Oh, look, a biggish customer's come in. All right, I won't be on that table, but I'll be on this roulette table just in case he wanders over and throws a couple of bets on. I'll be on a roulette table and stuff like that. And here's the thing, that was fine, but there was no mix-up in stuff. It was always just the same amount of stuff on it.
Card tables, where if it's me, it was the opposite round.
Well, and the thing with the card tables is it's quite a nice, relaxed kind of state. Because the thing with the card tables, you could deal at a quick pace, but you also kind of deal at the pace that the players are playing at. Because if they take their time, you can't speed them up. Yeah. Whereas roulette, you're going at the same speed all the time because you've got to get the spins through.
I'll get spins up. Sometimes I have to spin up on them. They've asked for time. You give them time, but then you put short spin in to give the illusion of time, and everything just goes fucked. Everything legit goes fucked.
If you were saying like you were supposed to do a roulette spin every 2 minutes, it'd be like, yeah, probably.
It's probably more than that.
Whereas like a blackjack or a poker hand, it would be, it could be a minute, it could be 5 minutes. There's just like quite a bit of variation depending on how many players you've got, depending on how they're all playing and all that stuff.
How everyone interprets the game and so on and so forth.
But then you'd also get a little bit more of a social aspect between the players, because of course, if you're on blackjack, you might have one player who's sat there for 2 hours straight talking to you whilst doing it, and you get the interaction between whilst you're still able to deal. Whereas the thing with roulette, and this is what I ended up with most of the time, was if you ended up on a full table of roulette, you've got like 7 players around you, all throwing bets, whilst you've still got to spin, keep your track of something, do the workouts, remember what you did the last spin, because just in case the question comes up about it, doing all the keeping
and
track
reminding,
of everybody.
Repeat bets if they're giving you chips to certain places as well.
You talk a lot of stuff. Now here's the thing: I quite liked it. I didn't mind that, but I wanted something to mix it up a little bit every now and then.
So like you had a nice relax.
Well, yeah, even like just a couple of hours like on a blackjack table. I remember when Steve started getting pits quite often. There was one point like he knew I was quite fed up of roulette, and I remember this one night this happened where I come up and he's like, I remember nothing was crazily happening in the casino. You know, there was a couple of players playing everywhere and all that stuff, but nothing crazy. And he just goes, you know what, you can go on blackjack. Cool. Sat on blackjack. I was on blackjack for 15 minutes. Someone else comes to take me off. I'm like, oh, that's quite quick. Yeah, I need you to go on roulette too. And it's like, yeah, that it ended up being one of these things of like, and yeah, you need to go on that table. Why? Because it's either done and it's absolute tits, and all the person on it is just absolutely
shite.
You know, shit like that happened. I'm like, and
I think you took me off a few times as well. If I
remember. I mean, fuck it, countless amount of people I've probably taken off roulette.
Yeah.
It's absolutely nuts how many times I do remember one night where I don't think you were working that night. I took 11 grand off someone.
Yeah.
In about an hour and a half. It was someone who
I took 1,600 off someone who were later on my week off this year in August. He got banned. Criminal.
Yeah. Well, and so this person, I know you know him very well. If I say that, if I type the name out to you,
yeah, type the name in this. Oh yes, I remember that person.
Basically, they had been in from about.
Usually comes in about 7, 8 o'clock usually. But
no,
it might be 11 this time.
This was a late night one for them.
Wow.
They came in probably about 10 or 11, and it's probably about 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
I come up, and usually at this point they'd have like pit 2 pretty much closed,
except for roulette 3.
No, roulette 3 was closed at this point. I remember I reopened it. I went over there, reopened it, and Steve came over and inspected me. And this person was about 11 grand in chips alone. From the other 2 roulette tables, so roulette 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And from about 4 until about 5:30, I think it was, we had taken all the 11,000 in chips, plus another 2 grand in cash, which they had got back in chips offers. And I will remember when, I think it was Rich, when he came over and was like, all right, so how's this table doing? And when Steve turned to him and went, it's about 11 grand up, he looked at him and went, nah, you're wrong. Because I'm not joking, she had been in for probably about 5 hours just winning off the other 2 tables, just to lose it all back off me in that short time. And it was like, nah, that's not possible. Like, count it yourself. They count it, and it's like, okay. And that was one of the crazy nights. But like, because stuff like that happened, it ended up being a thing of like, yeah, put him on roulette. And I was just always on roulette because of stuff like that. And granted, I had the nights where obviously I lost on roulette. Everyone does, but majority of the time I was winning, and sometimes I'd win really big on the roulette.
Like for me, it's like I do win on roulette, but they don't see that. They see me the fact that I've lost constantly on them tables, especially with Rich around. That's where I get pissed off more, because I know I can deal these games. 100% doubt, no doubt I can. I remember when I was put on EIP, the Employee Improvement Program, I showed them I could deal. Like, I don't understand why it took that to understand that I can still deal. But I remember I was talking to Rob when I said about you to him. He said, you do that. He was talking to Jamie about it. He said, look, you knock this kid's confidence, he'll go back to being a trainee. Funny enough, that's how it happened.
Yeah. Well, so I'll tell you the process of how I ended up basically on roulette all the time. It went from, so while Jamie was still doing pits, it went from me being only on roulette once a month. And I mean, literally, I was keeping track of it. I was only on roulette once a month on a table, once a month at a time. And it was always like after each table, it's like, well, there goes that table. That was always the comment you'd get or something like that of like, there goes that result. Or there goes that from, just being, and it's like, well, what do you expect? I'm getting maybe about an hour of table time.
Yeah.
And you expect me to be able to deal like as if I've been dealing for like the last 10 years. And one night, I think it was one of Kelly's pits. And she just put me on a roulette table. Guy comes wandering over out of nowhere. I mean, literally out of nowhere. He was playing on blackjack, wanders over to my table, throws, I think a total of like an 800 quid bet, just all over the table. And I completely miss him. He throws another like 500 quid bet, completely miss him. Now, I remember seeing this dealer walk up to the pit, Kelly going, all right, take him off. The dealer comes all the way over. I'm like, new dealer after this spin. Miss him again. New dealer goes on. The guy walks off the table. My inspector says to Kelly, like, this much in for like no hit and all that stuff. I tell her and she's like, he seems to wander off now. You can go back on. Like, are you kidding me? It's like, okay, granted, it only took one hit really for him to win like a good amount back. But you're talking, that's how little confidence they had at first.
Yeah,
but then after a couple of times of like Kelly getting me the experience on the tables, at one point I think I got put on a roulette table when it was Jamie's pit, and I remember pretty much every other roulette table was going just down, down, down every result. Comes over to the pit too, and he's like, yeah, so roulette 3, that's like, I think it was like only like 200 worse off than what it was before. He goes, all right, roulette 4. No, it's 100 better than it was. All right, and then he just wanders off, leaves me on the table, changes pretty much every other table, comes up for another check. It's like, all right, that table is now pretty much the same result as before. Roulette 4 is now 300 up. And slowly it was like going up, up, and up, until when I finally got taken off, came back off a break. I think I went on like either blackjack or poker or whatever like that, and got another break, came back up, got put on a roulette table, and it was again like, oh no, it's better than what it was when he first came on. And then from that point on, it was pretty much like, I go up, yeah, you go on roulette 3, roulette 4. Roulette 1, roulette 2, constantly roulette 5 when we had 5.
5, so, yeah, 5. I was gonna say we still have 5.
Constantly like, yeah, roulette, blackjack for a little bit, roulette, blackjack for a little bit, and then when Jamie quit, I'm gonna say quit when he just didn't turn up.
He turned up, but he got sent home and then didn't turn up after that because I was on the afternoon. Yeah. I was on a 3-3 that day. I saw him talking to Rich. Rich sent him home.
Yeah,
and Connor literally did the pit from whenever he came in, the end, and then came back for the afternoon.
He did the up until the end.
I said to him, if you need me till 3, I will stay. Because I was on a 3-3. I said, look, if you need me till 3 to help you out, I'll do it.
It was absolutely nuts. And
it was nuts. It was nuts that day. The fact that he came back to do the open, I said to him, massive kudos for you to do that.
But that was the thing. Like, as soon as Jamie left, I think Kelly had a couple more night pits, and so did Connor.
And Steve had a few as well. Started to get a few as well.
This was before Steve actually got pit boss.
No, when Jamie left, Steve was doing afternoons. Steve was doing
Steve was shadowing at this point still.
Oh, right, okay.
So like Connor and Kelly started putting me on more roulette tables.
Yeah.
And of course, so Steve was getting the afternoon shifts. And when he was on the afternoon shifts, if I was on the open, which it was very rare that I was ever on the open at the same time Steve was doing an afternoon.
Yeah. I was on an afternoon once with him, and I had Tracy.
I don't know if there were. I don't know if there was like whatever reasons for that, but whatever, cool. And normally I just end up dealing roulette a lot.
Yeah.
And it got to the point, I remember one night, I think it was pretty much one of Steve's first night pits. And he was like, I don't know who to put on roulette. I don't know who to put on roulette. Because I remember I came up, I was starting either at the same time as Kelly and a couple others. Everyone else had basically been put on tables. And he's like, I need to put someone on that roulette table. That roulette table's going terrible. And I think Kelly just went, put James on it. I'm like, what? I was like, I can't really put him on it. I need to put someone on who's like an experienced dealer. And I understood why, because it was like, obviously, Steve was being watched pretty much by managers like a hawk.
Yeah, he's getting hot.
I can't put him on it. It's like, no, put James on it. And I went on it, and the table may have not made a load of money back, but it stopped losing money. That was the thing. It was basically breaking even at that point. Not breaking even, it
wasn't. Well, it basically it stopped the rut.
It stopped the bleeding, basically.
Stopped the rut he was having.
And then from that, it was just like, all right, so switching dealers around and all that stuff, and and the night went. And pretty much from that point, I was just on roulette constantly. And I remember it was, there was pretty much, I think, 3 or 4 dealers who were just on roulette only. There was me, Shannon, Amy, I think it was.
Andy was one of them.
Andy. Dom wasn't even one. No, this was at the point where Dom. They had a point where they absolutely hated Dom.
Oh yeah, they kept putting him on dealer's choice. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, it was either on dealer's choice or cash.
Yeah,
like he
was the one who was usually taking me off cash.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless it was unless it was Mr. BB himself.
But so it was pretty much like there was 4 of us on roulette, and I'm like, I don't get this. Why am I on roulette all the time? And I knew that Shannon obviously she'd been there for years. Experienced dealer. Andy, experienced dealer. And Amy, I think at this point she'd been back for about 6 months, but of course she was there for years beforehand. All experienced dealers, all inspectors, and there's like me, person who's literally only just taken away from the trainee kind of period of like on roulette as well. I'm like, why am I on roulette? I don't get it. Like looking around thinking, why the fuck am I on roulette all the time? I remember once, it was kind of a quiet night at first. Yeah. I just stood there on roulette 3. I think Andy was on roulette 2, and like I think either Amy or Shannon were on roulette 1, and there was no one in playing. No one on any of the roulette tables. And
yeah, we had 3 roulette tables though.
Oh no, 3 roulette tables open, but like someone was playing on the touch bets for one of the roulette tables. I think Macaulay came up and was just basically told, "Oh, just deal on roulette 1 to get Shannon a break and all that stuff." And literally, this is what happened. 10 minutes later, they called out the pit. They called out the staff room to get Shannon to come back up and take him back off. It's like, what the fuck? It's like not even 10 minutes. I think it was. It's ridiculous. But I sat there thinking, what's happening here? Why is there only like a select few?
He must have been touch. He must have been on touch. Then it was
obviously touch. It was probably just doing some crazy shit in, and so going back to like the point I was saying. So about 3 or 4 months before the incident, I remember asking Rich if I could cut back on a couple of hours. Because at this point, I was doing probably about 52, 53 hours a week. And this was when there was plenty of staff. It wasn't like a question of the short staff. No, it's like there's plenty of staff. I'm just doing like five extra hours for nothing when easily there was more people that could easily cover the shifts. And I burnt myself out because I think at one point I did a lot of days in a row. And a lot of those shifts were like 12-hour shifts, and I was just like, I just need cut me back to something like 42 hours for a few weeks or whatever like that. Yeah, I just get my head back into it all. And I think it lasted for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. It was. I have the logs of it. I went down to about 44 or 45 hours, and then the 3rd week hits and it goes like straight back up to 53 hours. It's like, oh god. And then, of course, the whole Christmas period thing happened. And, of course, you expect over the Christmas time where usually it got quite busy. Oh, yeah, your hours probably go up or whatever like that. and I can't remember if it was just before New Year or just after New Year. And I was like, why are the hours still so crazy for me? And that's when I had the flip out of I was just absolutely fed up of how the situation was going on it. I just couldn't do it. I had a huge. I'm not actually going to go too far into it. I'm just going to say I had a huge incident on one of the tables with a customer.
All right, and Ash being your inspector.
I think he was, yeah. And
so I had multiple things saying Ash saying it himself.
I look back on it, and I 100% agree. It's like, yeah, I didn't need to react like that. It was just a compoundment of so much stuff on the end of it just hitting at once. And it's like
it was just a release of energy.
Yeah,
not what you expected it to be.
I remember thinking, like, when that on the exact same, like, pretty much about 5 minutes afterwards, Rich came in talking to me, and I was like, "Oh, it doesn't matter, not your problem anymore," because I was pretty sure that I was like fired on the spot there.
Yeah.
I was like, "Nah, there's no way you can keep me after what I did," because I mean, you know, there's so many rules of like, obviously you can't just leave a table, you can't do certain stuff, and like I just got fucking snap broke him, whatever, and all that stuff, and gone. And he was like, "Well, go home for now, etc. Come back tomorrow. Come back on your next shift," which I think my next shift was like in 2 days, because as I said, this was coming off like a 10-day work period of like just 10 days straight, all pretty much 10-12 hour shifts. And I come back a couple of days later, and he's like, "Yeah, all right. There's obviously going to be a investigation on it all, disciplinary and all that stuff." So I went through all that process, and I just remember in the back of my head constantly thinking, "Oh crap, I am like on thin ice here." And in reality, in my head, I don't think I was still in
the like as if you're in the loop, like you're already. Well, you knew you were already gone.
Well, yeah, in my head, I was like, "Oh, I'm probably gone here." And then obviously the disciplinary happened. It was like, I think the result of it ended up being this of like, we're going to keep you on, but obviously for like the next, I think it was like a year, I think it was assigned to, you'll be pretty much being assessed to make sure like nothing like this happens again. And I was like, no, this is completely fair, because to be honest, I thought I was gone. I thought like they would just turn around and say to me, "No, don't come back." And I think I lasted probably about 2 or 3 weeks after that, and I was like, "Nah, I have to quit," because in my head, I just couldn't drop it. I couldn't drop like well, that, and it was. I think it was the constant looming of like last legs here, and I thought,
yeah, this could be it. It's
better
my last bit.
Well, yeah, because in my head, I still hadn't like sorted out any of the
issues
and stuff like that,
and all that.
So I just need I like, in reality, what I kind of wish I did this a little bit more than just quitting flat out. I kind of wish I went to the side and just said to him, like, "Listen, I need to take like an extended break or something, just to, you know, get an extended breakthrough, go for all that, and then maybe come back to it all,
reset, get on with it."
Yeah, because no joke, about 3 months after I quit, I was sat there thinking, "Oh, I'd go back." I didn't mind it. I liked the job. It was just that obviously certain bits of it got to me.
It can be stressful. Like you've heard about my breakdown. Like I'd literally just break down and cry.
There was also one other thing that like made me think I'd love to go back now. After a certain person quit, who he didn't quit, he quit not long after I had left, probably about a month or two. Yeah, I need to be right back a second.
Yeah, it's fun.
So yeah, just intervene.
Interlude. So yeah, so that's basically what's happened so far. Obviously, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put the BRB screen on here on Switch, and obviously on YouTube I'll edit it so we get back to it in a second.
Alright, I'm back, Dan. Are you there? Who's this?
It's work about what's coming on from Thursday, but turn the music off. We are back, guys. We are back. Obviously, on Twitch is part 2 of it, in the same thing. So, yeah, obviously with that, obviously you have regrets. It obviously could have done it differently. Like a lot of us have regrets. Like I regret the way my breakdowns happened, but the fact that it was with the same pit boss, literally demoralising me constantly to the point where I'm like, I've had enough. I could have easily flipped on tables, but I didn't. I did it differently. Obviously, it was different as well. But no, we're going to go past that now, because obviously you do a lot of raids with World of Warcraft. And it has actually been a little bit of a insight for me just to chill and watch the way you do them, obviously, when I'm on my way home from work.
Yeah, the raiding, so I've been basically playing Classic WoW for pretty much a year now. Well, over a year now, actually, thinking about it. It was August, sometime when it first came out. So I've been playing that for a long, straight time as a tank for our group. And what's the best way to describe it? I've pretty much the group that I'm in. Originally, I was one of the raid assists for it. I stepped down from that just because I couldn't be bothered with the raid management and all that stuff. And there was some of our other issues with it. But no, since then, we've been raiding from pretty much the first month as a group under a different guild name now. There's probably at least a good 20, 25 of us who are from like the previous group, previous guild that are like in the same group. And at the moment, we've just been clearing all the content quite on a regular basis, like no issues.
Yeah.
But the current thing though is now everyone getting prepared for the next content, which comes out in December. So Naxxramas gets released, so I need to get the rep up for that. I need to get the
everything sorted,
consumables and everything. So a lot of it recently has just been me farming.
Yeah.
For the past like 3 or 4 days straight.
Like obviously, I know that obviously, I really want you to get affiliate. Obviously, I've got it myself. At different. So if you do like your World of Warcraft, I would recommend you. The amount of communication with all. I remember talking about scratching their ball sack on Thursday or Friday.
Yeah,
this past week, which I think that you were with Mark saying we don't need to hear that.
Yeah, we don't need that.
I remember it well.
We have a raid group which is very chatty and community.
It is.
Of, like we are by far not a hardcore raid group. We are mainly there for we're a bunch of people who want to get the stuff done, but we're not bothered about getting it done within like the fastest time possible.
Like, you don't want to get it done. We don't want to set world records. We'd rather do it right and make sure it's done properly and methodical.
It's more in the style of like we just want to get it done. I mean, we have players in here who, some of them, legitimately, like a couple of them, I don't even think have played World of Warcraft before.
So you got a few newbies in there.
Yeah, and then we've got people who have played it, but like from years and years and years ago. Got some people from private servers who used to play it. And
got a mixture of a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we've got a big mixture of players. and a lot of them are just people who don't actually really know the content or what they're doing. So we don't take it super seriously. Like there's raid groups out there which will hardcore push it with full world buffs and all that stuff, and we're just not like that. We like to take the relaxed approach, and we'd rather everyone have fun rather than force everyone not to play for 3 days because they've got to save world buffs. So we do that quite often. With next Ramos coming around the corner as well, there's a lot of raid prep going on, a lot of talks about what people should do.
Yeah, so, like you've got isn't there one on Thursday you're doing, if I remember rightly?
So every Wednesday and Thursday I stream our raids. We do AQ40 currently on the Wednesday. So tomorrow we'll be doing AQ40 around 8:30 p.m. UK. We start.
I believe this will go out on YouTube about 4 o'clock tomorrow time, so it'll be about 4 hours from there. So I'm going to try and get this up. I've got another one to upload from last week. I still need to. I've done the edit. It's ready to go up. Just didn't do it in the end because of hearing about, say, COVID hitting my family and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which I won't go into detail on here. I've already expressed about it on my Twitter back end of last week, beginning this week, so I'm not really care about it now. But yeah, I've checked in on a Thursday. I think you've done some stuff on a Friday as well, haven't
you? No, we have. Our raid days mainly now on Wednesday, Thursday. Because we used to do some odd raids on like a Sunday, but a lot of people just kind of stopped turning up to them, so we don't really do them anymore. But of course, when Nax comes out, Wednesday, Thursday will be guaranteed probably just Nax progression for the first couple of weeks. So if you want to see a raid group wipe a lot, people complain that it's costing them too much gold, definitely a place to be, because it's the style of stuff as well that I do. It's just gameplay, communication. Don't really add music to it because copyright stuff as well. It's just
I'm lucky that I've got music that I don't worry about copyrights. Yeah. So I need to get that. I need to get one of their members on here. There's a few people I need to get on that I need to talk to. But obviously, that's for another.
It's just one of these things of constant. We just like to have a nice little communication between the guild and chat, and like every now and then you'll hear someone get really serious with stuff, but in the end we're all more social between each other. It's nice. It's nice to the people to see what like normal people would raid like.
Yeah.
I know that if you watch any guild doing a run of one of these raids, it's usually just a speed run type thing.
Yeah.
And
nothing's
for most people, yeah. If you want something like that, it's a great thing to look at. But if you're wondering, well, what's this content like if I just want to play casually?
Yeah.
Or if I want to play with a group where they're not going to force me to do all this stuff. And that's more like our group. And
that's what it seems like. Like everyone knows what they're doing. Like obviously the main people are here, obviously. So there's this to do here, this group to go here, go there, this group go there, so forth.
Yeah, and so obviously you just have people that you have to tell every week what to do, but it happens.
That's natural to happen in most settings anyway. So
and it's great though, because like I still love doing it. I love doing the raids and the current content, and just can't wait to see what happens with the next stuff that comes out. I expect a lot of wipes, a lot of arguments, and a lot of crying. I don't know who's going to be doing the crying, but I can guarantee someone will.
Yeah, it's going to be something.
So it will just be an absolute mad session at first, because we've had it where so on our server that we play on is quite a heavy hardcore side server where a lot of them are speedrun looking at the speedrun combinations, while bust at the right time and stuff like that.
Stuff to go the right position.
We've had a lot of raid members join us and be like, hold on, so you don't force well buffs? No. And they get amazed by it. They're like, you still do the content? It's like, yeah, every week we still do the content. We're not stopping.
Do it a different way.
Well, yeah, it's not that. It's just that people expect that the only way to really clear all the content is to get well busts, is to do all this. It's like, no, it's actually quite, the content's pretty easy if you follow the actual strategies and stuff of the game.
Yeah.
And quite a few people don't even know them. It's quite hilarious.
Yeah.
So yeah, and other than that, I kind of want to start streaming other games a little bit more often. Like that's the reason the last thing I played was PlanetSide 2.
Yeah,
I just wanted to get my
that.
stream settings down because for some reason I've got like a weird issue where I've got enough bandwidth to stream at 1080p 60 FPS. I've got the PC to stream at 1080p 60 FPS, but Twitch just won't accept it for some reason at the moment. So
I get issues at 720. Like throughout most of my streams, like this one's no different. It has been a lot of times where the bitrate has gone, but obviously because I'm recording it, I always use the recording on YouTube because there's no buffering whatsoever on.
Yeah, you won't get any issues.
So I can obviously have the full thing. It's a lot easier when I do stuff like this, but yeah, it's like it's happened again and it comes back up again. Obviously, that's issues with satellite internet and obviously connection to Twitch getting lost, game stuff like that is not that we can really do. Get on with it and just continue from there.
You're streaming on satellite internet?
Yeah.
That seems like a weird thing. Doesn't go for any.
KCOM wasn't good enough. He didn't like KCOM, so he got satellite in.
Unable to get light stream near you?
Yeah, we're great, but he's awful apparently.
Really?
Yeah.
My experience of light stream, it's been perfect.
Yeah, you're not that far from me, are you?
No, we're not.
About 10 minutes. You're about 10 minutes down the road, aren't you, if I remember rightly?
Maybe a little bit longer than that, but yeah.
But roughly about 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, light stream's great for us. Getting like 800 meg down.
Damn.
Probably about 50, 60 up with 1 millisecond pings easily. So that's why I could stream at high qualities and perfectly fine, not interrupt gameplay.
Yeah.
It's more about the PCs, which is why I know, like, I stream World of Warcraft, and also I'll stream that at 60 FPS 1080p. It's fine and everything, but it's WoW, so it's not really a big demanding game.
Yeah.
But if I go on like Counter-Strike Global Offensive, 60 FPS, it will not stream it properly. The gameplay is fine. The OBS says it's running fine. It says it's not dropping any frames, but then on the Twitch view, it's just really stuttery and terrible. Whereas then I drop it to 30 FPS, it's perfectly fine. So
I always do 30 FPS anyway.
Yeah, I personally think it's some at Twitch's side and not mine, because if it was mine, it would be an issue.
It'd be showing up constantly more.
Yeah.
I believe I've got quality up. Yeah, I've got quality up. I'm always lucky. So if you can, it does look awful higher up. You can lower the quality just to help your connection to the streamer, which is a really good thing when that stuff happens, but obviously there's a lot of issues.
The downside is I don't get that with mine. And but that's the weird bit is it should be fine at 60 because, as I say, World of Warcraft, when I stream that at 60, it's just no issues at all.
I get issues because my phone can't hack it on 4G. That's my only issue I have. Which is not your fault at all, it's my connection to Twitch. So, but yeah, I'm on Wi-Fi, I can do like 480. Easy. Sometimes I can even do 1080, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to try 1440p streaming again because I got a new monitor for that and stuff.
That's 4K, isn't it?
No, it's like 2K.
It's 2K.
So it's like 1080p, 1440p, and then 4K is your screen resolution sizes and stuff. It's just that the thing with not having a quality setting on Twitch is not many people can watch it.
Yeah,
most
that's
people
true.
Would have to down quality it, and if people can't watch it, there's no point in streaming it. So
that is true. That is true. I know that for a fact.
It ends up being one of those things of like I just have to keep the quality down at 1080p until I might get the quality setting. But you don't know until I find out, until it happens.
Obviously, the only issue with you now, if I'm right, is your.
Yeah, the downside to World of Warcraft is it's kind of boring to watch it in a long form. Like if you're watching highlights or if you do watch a speedrun, Like a speed run now can take about half an hour. Where our runs we raid for 3 hours a night, and people don't really want to sit through like that 3 hour raid of.
Like when I come in, when I'm browsing on my way home, it's like there's 2 people watching you, and then I turn up, it still says 2 viewers. I'm like, hang on, why does it say 2 viewers? I'm popping in.
It's probably because I'm technically one of the viewers. I end up watching the stream output as well, just to make sure it's all.
Yeah, I always do that. I always do that as well. So I've got on one of my monitors, I've had stream. I can see when it's buffering. Obviously, I notice with Stream Element or Streamlab back going on. Yeah, it's a lot of interesting stuff. How everything works. Streamlabs is a good platform to use, but there's still some stuff that. Do you use normal OBS then?
Yeah, I use OBS Studio. I've got like a list of settings that I have like on it, and I quite like the way it all runs. I haven't really looked in using anything else as well, because I use it for my recording.
Yeah, for recording.
If I want to record anything, I can do up to like 4K if I really want to, because I actually have a 4K TV hooked up. So I could just do native 4K, and not have issues with that stuff. And I just like how OBS works. OBS just works for me.
When I first started streaming, when I was at uni, I was using OBS and I was using Capture. And since I got my Elgato, I did use the Elgato bit. I was mainly using OBS. I did use XSplit for a little bit. Obviously, now I go between Streamlabs, OBS, and OBS itself. So there's certain perks for each things, like Streamlabs, OBS, like my social thing, the way it's up. I can't get that through Stream Element on OBS. With Stream Elements, I can make that stuff and put it
in. Well, it depends on how you have it. Is it a GIF for you, or is it
it's a widget?
An actual. Okay, so it's a widget. Yeah, I think you have to install certain plugins to get those working.
Yeah. I could talk about that off.
No, I know how to sort most of that stuff out. I just don't, because I like
the way you're set.
I personally like the simple setups of here's the gameplay, watch the gameplay. I like them.
Less is more. Like,
yeah, I'm definitely the amount of times where I've seen streamers where it's like their webcam's 80% of the screen. It's like I can't watch that. I want to watch the game.
Yeah, obviously, like in this situation, obviously, my cam's big. Yeah. Obviously, if I then life's it's a little bit slower, sense. And then obviously everything else is a lot more. Probably like that. But I do that for a reason. Obviously, I've watched I've talked to someone, and common theme is less is more. So the more you see the gameplay and the rest.
It all depends on the person as well. Yeah. Like if the people are going to watch you, then big webcam, sure, whatever. To watch the gameplay, they want to see the gameplay.
They'll want to see the gameplay more than you, but they might want to see your reactions as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've had it before where I had, I think, like the most amount of viewers I've had at one exact time, I think on Twitch was probably about 100 and something, or was it 90 something? I can't remember. I was streaming Minion Masters, I think it was.
Yeah.
It was back when it was in beta, and not many people were streaming it. There was literally like 3 people streaming it, but it was being advertised everywhere. So I just had people jumping in the chat asking me what the game is and all that stuff.
Yeah,
like,
I've seen like a lot of Team Mana Frenzy. I see a lot of that now. Obviously, people being guest like streamers for them, and they're getting like really high views. Obviously, stuff like that is good, and I'm actually contemplating having a look into that game. Download, but I haven't had a chance to put it yet.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I am probably quite interested in looking at and playing again. I definitely need to try. I want to try streaming VR again, but I am seriously waiting to get a new graphics card. My current graphics card, it'll play VR fine. It gets a bit stuttery at times, but if I
is it better than my graphics card that I've
I don't remember what graphics card you have.
Radeon RX 580.
580.
AMD.
Yeah. It's
So what I got off Steve all those years ago.
all those years ago. Oh, I think it's the ones I'm thinking of. It's probably similar level of
The Devil Edition one that he couldn't send back. So I bought it for 250.
If I remember right, I think that might be.
That was end of 2017.
No, I think pretty much yours is maybe not on par. I think mine might be a little better. I don't really know. Because mine's a 1070. Mine's a the Zotac game 1070. So it's I think they're both the same generation time. It's just it would be Nvidia or AMD that generation. And
yeah,
I think Nvidia came up on top for the 10 series compared to the 580. But
obviously with the graphic card talk, have you been? Yeah, and AMD's recent stuff. That most of their cards are going. AMD's cards are literally going the way, pulling them out the water.
Well, they say that the downside is the only actual performance reviews that have come out are leaks. There's no full confirmation on this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna have to wait until people actually start reviewing the AMD cards compared to the Nvidia cards.
Yeah.
The thing that I was kind of interested in, and yes, some people class it as a gimmick more, is RTX. Just because some single player games look beautiful with it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're thinking of playing something like Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh yeah, that's been delayed by.
Yeah, it's been delayed again. But that's going to have RTX support, and I want to see like that should look quite beautiful with it. So I really wanted an RTX capable card. So of course, like the 3000 series is pretty much like at the moment it is guaranteed like that is the best experience you can get. But the AMD cards, and this is the thing I didn't know about them, they're RTX capable, but I didn't see that in any promotional footage of stuff of AMD. I only heard about it through like another YouTuber saying, "Oh, it has capability of doing RTX." I'm like, "Wait, what? Does it?" Which the thing is, it's one of these things where you'd expect AMD to chirp on about, like, "Yeah, we're RTX capable as well," unless it's not performing as well. And then in reality, it's like, "Yeah, we're not going to say about that." And
they're just hiding something in their pocket that don't want everyone else to hear until the reviews come out.
Whereas with the AMD cards at the moment, the big thing they're getting on about are it has like a boost compatibility with using AMD CPUs, and I don't have an AMD CPU. So it's like if you're using these generations of like Ryzen CPUs, it'll increase. It increases the performance of them because they're able to share their bandwidth properly through memory bandwidth and stuff like that. So that's cool.
For me, that's perfect. That's perfect for me.
Well, it depends on what system you have.
I have a Ryzen 7. And an Asus 450.
I don't know if the 2700 will be supported on it, but you'll have to check that out.
I'll check that when it gets.
Oh, yeah. Whereas, like, I am on an Intel platform, and the downside to be on that is I won't get the boost from it, and if I'm not getting the extra boost from it, there's no real point in
getting that graphic.
Like, if the boost of using an Ryzen, an AMD CPU is the difference to be beating a 3080, then I may as well just go for a 3080 then instead of like the Ryzen one. Just there's some other things like I prefer the Nvidia software. I've had AMD cards back at the time. AMD cards on me have broken. Well, my old one did. My what was that one? R9 270X. I had a Sapphire.
Oh yeah.
That the VRAM on that just went. It just was acting funny and just completely broke.
My fans on my card, I've done some with the system. I obviously saving profiles and that. I've literally just killed. So I have to literally go into the program every time my PC on and put on one of my programs just so the fans aren't aware.
You could just change it to auto start up on PC.
Yeah, I try and set it up to the program just auto start on PC, but fans won't turn on.
Mm.
Not all. They'll turn on if it gets like nearly 80 degrees. About it. It don't get. As soon as it gets. By the time I get the program up, about 50.
That just sounds like a conservative fan curve of being on silent running.
No, it's
Like,
I literally put my hand on it once I'm logging in. The fans aren't moving.
No, yeah, that's fine. A lot of the newer cards can run fanless for until they start getting hit heavy.
Yeah.
Like I know mine has quite literally a quiet setting where it will not kick in the fans until about 70 degrees, and then it'll kick in the fans.
Yeah.
Which the fan curve on that I don't like. Oh crap! So like, but so I like to have my cards cooler than they are, even if they don't need to be.
Yeah, that's why when I'm doing stuff like my card is 30 degrees right now, and I still have the fan running at about 32.
See, yeah, like my fan, it's so I actually do have a game running at the same time. So mine's running at like 50 degrees, with the fan speed running at about 50%, which is about 1200, 1500, no 1500, I think it is RPM. Yeah, I think my fan can go up to 3000 odd.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I could make it run cooler, but I don't really need to. That's fine. The temperature's fine on it, and
I'd rather have it at that's. So then I know for a fact. I know I can hear the fan running. If I turn it lower and I don't hear the fan, I smell it, then I'm up. So that's why I always have. It's like I've had it where the fan's not on. I'm like, I haven't done anything to it, and I'm like, what's that smell? Shit. The heat sinks are literally burning. There's all that load's going straight into the heat sinks, and there's nothing helping it dissipate. Obviously, build.
The thing is, your PC, unless you've really done something to the settings, your PC will be very safe up to a certain degree. Like
the CPU fans working all the time, so I've not done anything to that.
Your CPU fans, they should never be off.
Yeah, they never.
They like in reality, even if you do run a full quiet setup, your CPU fans usually never off because it'll just spike up every now and then.
Yeah.
And depending on what cooling system you're using, that's really bad for it. But just through passive convection, due to how big the cooler is on GPUs, they now can go so low power when they're set in idle that they don't have to spin the fans. So they can just passively.
It might be due to updates then. Because obviously it's updated itself a lot as well. So that might be one of the reasons. Pretty much, we've spent nearly 2 hours of the stream. I've literally been streaming for nearly 2 hours. This is this is like the third song out of 4. See, first one I did was WWE Draft. We had Chris Carson on 2 weeks ago. We had System on last week. But to be fair, the amount of stuff we've talked about, reminisced, it deserved to be this long.
Yeah, it's one of those where it's like you can make it as long as you like.
Yeah, we could have gone on for hours and hours and hours, literally.
Yeah, I think at that point, I think someone would get tired.
Yeah, legitly. And I'm gonna say this now. Thank you very much. I know, like, we talked about it, and it was like literally again, are you free to do it? Yeah, let's do it now. Get it out, type thing. And I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Like, I know for a fact, I know the fact that obviously we've known each other for 3 years now, and obviously the respect's still there. The fact, and I hope that people who are watching will come and see your World of Warcraft stuff, because for me, it's something to put on the background when you've had a stressful night at work.
Yeah,
just to chill.
It's nice. It is something nice to just watch. Like originally, most of the streaming and stuff of it was just for logging purposes.
Yeah,
of, like,
pretty much that's what it is.
Show to assess what was all going on, but
also we need to get this guy affiliated as well. We need to have that sub alert be able to be used.
Do you want to know the funny thing is? I've actually got quite a cool.
Go ahead.
That's not
Go
cool.
ahead.
It's a little bit of a. It's more of an in joke. I've got like a little sound clip off someone else I knew from years ago.
Go ahead.
Of just for like a sub notification if I ever got one.
that's good then.
Because like I think my follower one, I can't remember what I was going to put my follower one to, but I remember my sub one was just like one day passively he just went whoop whoop level 2, and just like out of nowhere. So I clipped that and I just kept that like to the side. So if anyone ever subbed, I could just use that instead. It was like what?
Yeah. If you are into World of Warcraft, I'd definitely recommend watching Guy. And so thank you for being on. Much appreciated. Hopefully we'll be able to get you on again. If there is any other stories that you might want to delve into yourself, are brilliant. You could leave that for part 2. For like proper part 2 podcast.
We could always just do an update about you actually yourself, because to be honest,
that'd be.
Yeah, that's years in.
Yeah, we could still catch up. Obviously, like we have been doing. Like when you finish streaming, that stuff's won't change. But obviously, massive thank you for being on. Thank you everyone who's watched this on Twitch. We peaked at 6 viewers. We've had a steady between 2 and 3, 4 as well. We've had a few down for 5 viewers. I thank everyone who has actually been on and watched. I'm going to head off the stream now. We're going to talk probably about another 5-10 minutes off stream before I've got to do the stuff I need to do. And I'll be back later on with some GTA, which will be fun, on Xbox. So if you have got Xbox and you want to play GTA with us, hang around. I will make sure you come back later on today. I'll explain more about it then. And here on Twitch, thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.